I went on a spooky tour at McMenamins Edgefield property out in Troutdale, Oregon. The tour included a self-guided tour through the administrator's house, as well as a guided tour through the hotel property, and they gave you some history as you walked along. I'm going to go through and give you the little bit of the experiences that they were saying, as well as what I experienced while I was there. At the administrator's house, that was where we got to do the self-guided tour. There are 3 levels to this house. You walk into the main level, and there is 1 bedroom downstairs, the kitchen, living room, kind of standard access. On the 2nd floor, there were, I believe, 4 more bedrooms and a bathroom. On the 3rd floor, somebody was coming down and they just mentioned how it felt spooky to them. And when I went up there, it was so dead quiet. The air was very still. And even though I could hear the outside noises when I sat against the window, I could hear people talking, I could hear the music outside, the sound of the silence was just so overpowering and deafening. So I agree, it was definitely very spooky. In one of the bedrooms, they had done a tarot reading. So the person doing the tarot reading said that they were looking at the past, the present, and the future, drew 3 cards, and then they flipped them over. So my past was the moons. They said this was revelation. The present was the 2 of Pentacles, which would be like a financial decision. The future was the Knight of Wands, which was essentially saying that I needed to take accountability or take lead on something. So what they had said was essentially that I was going to have a financial decision coming up and that I was the one who needed to take the lead on making that decision. And they also noted that they absolutely loved my energy. On the walking tour, there was several rooms that we went into. If you happen to go to this location and stay in these rooms, beware that these are reports that people have said to the hotel that have happened to them. We went into room 11, where people have reported cats meowing, scratching, what felt like a cat walking on the bed, whispering, a woman singing, banging, and scratching on the walls. As we moved on, we were told that in the theater balcony, people have reported seeing people walk back and forth. People have been pushed on the stairs in the infirmary wing. The stairs down to the winery have reports of a little girl screaming, "Leave the door open," as well as hearing a little girl running up and down the hallway. In the bridge room, I believe that was room 41, people have reported being touched, having their hair and fingers pulled, and then things moving off of their nightstands. There are reports of a woman in white on the 2nd floor. In room 19, guests have seen foggy apparitions. This building is so old, there's no closets in most of the rooms, and so they put in an armoire. Now these armoires have had reports of them opening and closing on their own, which we may have experienced, but we're not quite sure. I stepped in front of one, and at the same time I stepped in front of it, it swung open, so I wasn't sure if it was the floorboards or not. Other hotel guests who were walking by that room had actually seen people walk out of the room and then turn and walk down the hallway when actually nobody was staying in that room, so nobody was actually there. We then went into room 218, where people have felt whole body chills. They have felt the bed depress as if somebody has sat down or laid down next to them. They have seen orbs in the bathroom. This room, they actually had the bathtub filled with hot water, so the room was a little more stuffy in general, and I just want to note this because in another room, you walked in and it was way more stuffy. The air was so thick, and they didn't have the hot water in the tub like they did in 218. In 2010, somebody actually had fallen out of the window of room 218, and they did not survive. Then we went into room 215. This room has the most activity reported in it. The reports include growling, scratching, orbs, a wet nose or a dog-shaped shadow, or even waking up outside of the room. One instance of this was there was a mother who was staying there with her 2 young children, and they had all gone to bed inside the room. The room was locked. When they woke up, the mom was in a panic because there was only 1 child in the room. She went to go outside of the room to go look for her child, and the child was sleeping in the hallway. And they had no memory of how they got from the bed to outside. Now, 215 was the room that I had briefly mentioned that felt extra stuffy to me. So then we went to the room next door, and people say that the activity in there actually parallels what happens in 215, and that they can actually also hear what's going on in 215 through the walls. After the self-guided tour was over, we were allowed to explore on our own. They didn't make us leave. It was early enough in the day that we could stay, get food, get drinks, do whatever we wanted. Some people were actually even staying on site. And I was with two ladies that I had met, and we were walking around together. We walked up to the 3rd floor, and the one gal felt really drawn over to the hallway to the right. And so we walked to that, and there was a doorway that led to more rooms. And as soon as I walked through that doorway, my whole body shook, and I just couldn't explain it. We left that area, went over to the opposite side where it kind of mimics the same, and we didn't feel anything. The third person with us did. She then said that she didn't feel anything on the other side. We walked back over to that other side, and the same thing happened again. We then decided to go downstairs, and this was the staircase that people were reporting being pushed down the stairs. And as we were walking, the stairs were kind of U-shaped, so you walk down, you get to a landing, and then you walk down to the 2nd floor from there. At the landing, as soon as I went to take a step onto the first stair, I felt like I was being pulled forward. I said, "Whoa," and turned around and looked behind me. The third gal was behind me, and she said, "I didn't touch you." And I said, "Oh, I know you didn't, because I didn't feel anybody touch me." And it was just a very chilling experience to feel that after being told that people experience being pushed down the stairs. And also, when we got to the bottom of the stairs, I had a whole nother full body shiver happen. So the last thing that we did was they had offered a saging, and so we definitely took advantage of that, and we walked back over by the administrator's building, and we got saged, and then we went on our separate ways and went home. That was definitely a fun event, and I will definitely be trying to go again this year. What do you guys think? Have you stayed at Edgefield? Have you had experiences there? Let me know in the comments down below.